Okay, so I just wanted to make a video about the application and interview process at Ulta Beauty, specifically for their beauty advisor, seasonal cashier, and task position. And when I applied for this position, I didn't really know what to expect in the interview, so when I got called back for an interview, I was trying to look up like YouTube videos and Google, and on YouTube especially, all I really could find were like rants about it, like videos that were like, I didn't like it, and like they were mean, and I didn't have a good time. And I was just like, that doesn't help me at all. And sorry, my face probably looks so weird. But I just really wanted to make a video that was informational so that people don't have that deer in the headlights look when they go in for their interview, because I think it's really nice to know what you're in for. So anyways, applying is super simple. It's just like any other job. I just went to ulta.com and I scrolled to the bottom, and there's like an about Ulta section, and then in that they will have a careers link, and you'll click on that, and then it takes you to another site, or not a site, a page that has like a bunch of links on the side, and I clicked on stores, and then they had a bunch of positions listed at the bottom, and you can just kind of click through those and read them, and if you find one that you want to apply for, you do search now, and then that takes you onto more specific search topics, and then you can apply from there. And then they have a section that's for your resume, so if you have a resume, definitely edit it, get it up to date, and attach it. And they are very customer service oriented, so if you have a lot of customer service or cash register experience, especially for this position, I would definitely put that in your resume or the application, or both, because that's super important to them, I think. And then I got called back within a week. I got called back on Monday, October 7th of 2012, and she was like, well, we have a time today at 3 or Friday at 3, and I chose today, Friday at 3, because I wanted to give myself more time to prepare, and I'm definitely happy that I did. So if you have the option to postpone it so you can prepare yourself, definitely do it. And then to prepare myself, I just looked online, I looked at their About Ulta, and they are definitely into the mass and prestige products. You should definitely know the difference between a mass product and a prestige product. Like mass, for example, would be like Revlon and L'Oreal and things like that you can find at a drugstore, and then prestige is going to be more like Too Faced, Stila, Urban Decay, things like that are more expensive. Because they have a huge selection and variety of both of them, and you just have to know, like, that's like their main gig, is making makeup affordable for every woman, pretty much, and man, because it's the 21st century and men wear makeup, but nonetheless they want it affordable for everyone. Makeup to the people. So, and then I'm trying to figure out, oh yeah, so she also told me to wear something as close to the dress code as possible, which is all black and white. So I just wore like a sleeveless button-up blouse that had a collar, and then I just wore a chunky like white and silver necklace underneath the collar, because it's like kind of in now. And then I wore my Michael Kors watch, which is like silver and a cream color, and then a silver bangle with that, and then like a silver midi ring. Nothing super extreme, but you know, a few accessories, and then just black slacks and black moccasins, and that is what I wore. And I thought it was really cute, so just try to stick with all black and white, I think is really important. And then I also obviously did like a full face of makeup. This is what I wore to my interview, which was at 3, which you can't really tell in this lighting because it sucks, and I'm sorry. But I just did like a plum lip, which looks like reddish orange. And then I did like contouring, blush, highlight, full eyes. I didn't put on eyelashes because I didn't have time, because I skipped my last class to go to it so that I could get ready, so I just was way too pushed for time to do that. But I got there about 5 minutes early, and then I started talking to another girl that was going to be interviewing with me, and I think if you have the opportunity to do that, I would definitely do that, because then it just is going to take some of the pressure off of you. You'll know like who you're going to be sitting next to in the next half an hour. And she was actually really cool. Like, we got along, and in the interview we've kind of fed off of each other's answers, so it was just really cool. They could tell that we got along, which I think it's a good thing, and we were just kind of joking around and whatever. So some of the questions that they ask, which I think is a really important thing to know because it's where I freeze up in my interviews, and I say the stupidest stuff all the time and I make myself sound like an idiot. So I am going to try to help you prepare for them. So they ask you to tell you a little bit about yourself. Did I say that right? Yes, I think. So I was just like, I'm a college student at CSU, like I'm majoring in economics, blah blah blah. I do this in my free time, so stuff like that. If you're a student, definitely tell them about, you know, what you're going to school for. And then they also asked us why Ulta, and I just went on about how I think having mass and prestige products is so important because not every consumer is going to want prestige and not every consumer is going to want mass. They're going to want a combination of the two. And I think that women this day and age don't like wasting their time, and so I just kind of said that one-stop shopping is really convenient and it's a really nice commodity to have these days because you can't do it everywhere, and to have that in a beauty store is really rare but also really really nice. And then the girl next to me said that she really wants to make every woman feel like beautiful and confident, and then one of the ladies that worked there was like, that's my favorite part of the job, like I love making women feel beautiful and confident. So definitely incorporate that, but I think that incorporating the mass and prestige in there also, and the importance of them, is really important because they're all about mass and prestige. And then, what would your last manager say about you? I just said that my last manager specifically wanted me to have him as a reference for my jobs, and he would most likely say that I like getting things done efficiently and I like them to be done right. And your strengths and weaknesses, are probably going to ask you about those. So my strengths, I was just like, I am friendly and outgoing, and like no matter how rude a customer has ever been to me or how much they annoy me, I've never been rude to a customer ever. And they were like, oh wow, like that's a strength. Like they were like, that's hard to do. So and then your weakness, try to turn it into a strength. I've always heard to try to turn your weakness into a strength, and so I was kind of just like, I like to pile on my tasks, or like I tend to take on too much at once because I just think that I can do everything, and then it just all catches up with me, and then I really struggle. So I just kind of need to learn to not take everything on at a time, and learn that it's okay to do one thing at a time. And then they also asked me what was a time where a customer was upset with you and they left unhappy, and I talked about a time at a country club I worked at where a woman was totally pissed about her doggos, and it wasn't my fault, but of course since I'm the one that brought it, it was my fault, and then nothing I did made her happy, and so I just kept my cool. And then I went and talked to my manager and I was like, hey, come help me with her, like I don't know what else to do. I had just exhausted all of my I guess options to help her. I had apologized, I had offered her more things, and she just wasn't happy. And so then he helped me out, and then she calmed down and she came to the pool every day for the rest of the summer, which is true. She was ridiculous. And then a time when a customer had a good experience from you, I also went from an experience at the club where it was one of my first days there, and she was just really impressed with how well I was taking care of her, and she, at the end of the day, she was like, thank you so much, like you've been so great, I really appreciate you helping me out. And then the next day even she came in and was like, thanks again, like you were so great, blah blah blah. And so that was just really awesome because then she was just my buddy the whole rest of the summer, and I loved it. And then they asked to talk about your past work experience, and I brought that into the customer service for sure. I was like, well, ever since I was 16, I've been in the customer service industry, so I know a lot about taking care of customers, but I worked at Albertsons for 4 years, and yet I don't have a passion for groceries, and I worked at the club, but I don't have a passion for serving iced tea and fish tacos. So I think that working at Ulta would just combine the best of both worlds, like customer service, which I really enjoy, and cosmetics, which I could honestly say is my passion. And so if you can highlight your customer service and cash register experience, I would do it there. What's your favorite product at Ulta? And I mentioned this guy. It's the Stila Stay All Day foundation and concealer. It's just a 1 ounce of foundation. You pop the top off, you unscrew it. It's got a little scoop in it for the foundation. And then it also has like a concealer and a mirror. And then it also came with a foundation brush, which I hate. I know, I'm sure there's people out there that like these things, but I hated it. It was just like, ugh. Like, ugh. I just felt like I was painting with a brush that I bought at Home Depot. It was terrible. But anyways, I went on about how much I loved the actual product, and they were like, oh, that's so great. Like, and then I was like, the girl next to me said something about it, something about trying it. She had really nice skin, and I was like, but it is like really full coverage, so I don't know. And then the lady interviewing us was like, yeah, it really is full coverage. So find a product you like, know a little bit about it, because if you can talk about the product that you like, they're gonna know that you know what you're talking about, and you don't just like do makeup for fun. Like, you know about makeup. And then, would you be comfortable applying makeup to someone else was another question that they asked. And I was like, yeah, I love putting makeup on my friends and like my mom. I just love doing different looks on them whenever they want me to, but if I had the proper training, I would definitely be comfortable putting makeup on a stranger. But I would definitely need training for that. And they were like, oh yeah, okay. So those are all the questions that I can think that they asked me. I know that they probably asked a few more, but I just can't remember them all because interviews stressed me out, and so I was mainly focusing on just trying to say the right things and not like sweat my balls off. But then at the end they ask you if you have any questions for them, and that's where I just like off the top of my head, which this has never happened to me in any other interview, I was just like, yeah, like how could I get a long-term position with Ulta after the seasonal position? And then they went on about that, and I just think it's really important to have 1 or 2 questions in mind before going to an interview, because every interview I've ever had, they've asked me if I have any questions for them, and I'm always just like, no, no, I don't. So don't be me. Like, be prepared. This was an exception. This was not the rule for me. This was the exception. I cannot think on my toes that well. That's why interviews terrify me. But anyways, yeah, so just have a couple questions. And that is pretty much it. I mean, hopefully that this helped you a little bit more than any of the other videos out there. If you have any questions, you can comment. But good luck in applying and interviewing. I wish you all the best in your Ulta experience.